Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to another episode of Project Zomboid. This is going to be episode 4 of our Fleeing Kingsmouth series, where we're going to spend some of our time trying to level up our mechanical skill, as well as trying to find the electrical level 1 book, so that we can begin to level up our electrical skill by dismantling both watches, TVs, and lamps. Now, we already have the book for mechanical level 1 and 2, so I'm just quickly reading this. We do actually have a helicopter, but I just kind of ignore it and focus on the objective at hand, hoping that not too many zombies get aggroed by the helicopter. And what we're going to do next is we're just going to have a quick little snack. We're going to fill up our bottles, and then we're going to go get some sleep before we actually head out. Now, in the previous episodes, I told you guys how we would come back to the parking lots that we've looted and cleared out of zombies, and we're going to be using those vehicles to level up our skills. Now, at the moment, we're level 0, which means that we can't actually do a lot of mechanical stuff yet. So we're going to be basically limited to removing the batteries, the radios, and the headlights out of every vehicle that we find. We're going to start off today's adventure by going down to the parking lot just in front of the harbor that we cleared out a couple episodes again on episode 2. If I remember correctly, there were a couple cars there that we could actually have a look at and try to level up our skill in. So I'm just going to show you guys where it is here on the map, and then we're going to go and transition over to the harbor, and hopefully no zombies have come over there because of the heli, but if they are, we'll just clear them out and get to work. So here we are, we're just now arriving at the parking lot of the harbor. Now, the first thing you might notice is that we're actually moving very, very fast. And the reason for that is that since the parking lot was clear of zombies and there's not much stuff happening here other than grinding skills and experience, I decided to speed up the clip a little bit just so that we could go slightly faster and get through the grind fest of the game. So what we're going to be doing here is we're just going to go through all the cars in this parking lot one by one, removing the batteries, removing the radios and the headlights, and reinstalling them, because every time that you take out a piece and you put it back, that's how you get experience. So basically you get 2 times the experience, once for taking it out and once for putting it back in. Now, a couple episodes ago we did talk about how we would maybe use one of these cars because they're not actually in very bad condition. But if you remember from last episode, the parking lot next to the pharmacy that we looted actually has a pristine condition car in front of it, full of gas with a working battery. Now, unfortunately, the key to that car is actually locked, so we can't actually get inside without breaking the window. So that only leaves us with 2 options. We either somehow find the key to the car, which is very unlikely, since the only place you can find it is around the car, and we've looted everywhere around it, and we didn't find the key. And the other option is to try and lockpick the car door. Now, we are using a mod called Better Lockpicking, which gives us the ability to lockpick car doors and actually lock the door. But because our level is 0 at the moment, there's a very high chance that we could break the lock on the door. And that itself would raise lots of other problems, like the door would become inoperable. And I'm not sure why that happens, but whenever the lock breaks, the door simply can't be opened, either from the inside or the outside. So in order to avoid that, I think in the future we're going to be maybe leveling up our lockpicking skill a little bit so we can conserve the windows for future use. And another thing we need to do is try and repair the boats that we found. If you remember on the last episode, we managed to locate 2 boats. We did check the condition on one of them, which was the one in front of the pharmacy, but we didn't check the second one because there's a horde of zombies in front of it and we just kind of wanted to avoid conflict. And the main reason for that is because our weapons are still kind of limited. We do have a couple extra at our base, but if we just start fighting every single zombie that we see, we're eventually going to run out of weapons. So we need to pick the fights that we take on. Now, we did actually just level up to level 1 of mechanical skill, which allows us to remove tires and car seats from cars depending on the type of car that we're dealing with. Now, the boats, on the other hand, require us to have read the How to Repair Boats magazine, and only then can you actually start repairing or removing parts of the boat. Now, I've actually never done any sort of repair on boats because I've never actually gotten that far into the game. I usually end up dead before that happens. So I'm actually curious as to how the repairs are done. Do you just take out the part and put a new one in? If that is the case, do we find the parts in a garage like a normal car? That's something we're going to have to find further down the road. Now, unfortunately, it does seem like the helicopter aggroed a couple zombies over to our parking lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to kill these zombies really quickly, and then we're going to move ahead towards the next group. We might as well just clear out the entire parking lot before we continue. That way we don't risk the danger of getting caught off guard while we're leveling up our mechanic skill by doing maintenance on these cars. Luckily, it's just a small group of zombies. We already seem to have killed the majority of them, so I'm going to go ahead and kill this last zombie. We're going to see how many are left just over there at the other end of the parking lot. There seems to be about 9 to 10 zombies left still. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull just a couple, and we're going to kill them little by little as we've been doing over the past couple episodes. This is in fact the most safe way to take care of zombies, and we're going to kill them using the baseball bat so that we can preserve the knife that we have, because at the end of the day the knife is actually still stronger than the baseball bat for numerous reasons. Number one being the fact that it uses less stamina to swing. Number two is that you can stealth kill zombies when you're behind them and they don't see you. And number three is that it has an incredibly fast attack speed, meaning that you can easily take care of multiple zombies that are lined up chasing you. Although the baseball bat does have one nice feature that the knife doesn't, is the fact that it can actually knock down zombies, which when dealing with smaller rounds of zombies like in this case, you can easily knock it over and just stand on top of it while you take on another zombie. But personally, I am still a big fan of cutting weapons such as the knives, the axes, and the katanas. I think they're a lot better than the blunt weapons, to be honest, simply because they outright kill the zombies instead of knocking them down. And don't get me wrong, sometimes knocking the zombie down can be useful, but most of the times we're dealing with large amounts of zombies, and what you want to do is you want to quickly dispatch of them as soon as possible. Also, another reason I'm using the baseball bat is simply because I don't have another weapon at the moment. But as fate would have it, we found a Rambo knife on that last zombie we just killed. And now we're going to go ahead and kill the last zombie here so we can finally go back to leveling up our mechanic skill. And I'm going to quickly just equip the Rambo knife on my belt for easy access later on down the road. And we can finally get back to the objective at hand. I'm going to go ahead and speed up time again so that we can quickly go through all the car maintenance stuff, get through the grind real quick. And there aren't that many cars left on the parking lot, so we're going to be done here pretty quickly. But what I do try to find is a lug wrench and a jack on any of these cars, but it doesn't seem like they have it. So we're just going to continue using the screwdriver to remove the headlights, radio, and battery on these vehicles. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to head down to that second boat that we found on the last episode, which we couldn't check out because of a horde of zombies, like I said earlier. But now that we have killed the horde, it seems to be pretty safe. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to check out that boat as well as the bus. There's this bus there as well as soon as we're done tinkering with this car, and hopefully this boat is in better condition than the first one we found. But lucky for us, it seems like there's actually not a lot of zombies here anymore, so we're gonna go ahead and check out the bus, and it's not too bad of a shape, but the door's locked, so we can't really do much maintenance on it. The boat, on the other hand, is actually not too bad of a shape. It looked like it was pristine from the outside, but once you got inside of it, you can tell that it was actually missing a couple parts and a little bit of stuff was damaged. Now this building here just behind the boat does seem to be some sort of a bar. We're just going to quickly nab these chips out of this vending machine, and we're going to head inside, see if one of the doors are unlocked so that we don't have to break any windows or remove any glass, because I want to avoid making noise, because just down to the bottom left there is actually a group of zombies that I don't want to have to deal with right now. And we got pretty lucky, so one of the doors is open, so we're going to head inside through there. There does seem to be a couple zombies on the interior, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and clear out the inside before we actually start looting. But from the looks of it, it seems to be some sort of a bar, which means there's going to be lots of alcohol here for us to drink in the future in the game. This will increase our food supply just a little bit because drinks don't usually give you lots of hunger back. Also, whenever you drink alcohol in this game, it makes your character extremely tired. It kind of has the same effect as sleeping pills. So we want to avoid drinking the beer unless we're trying to fall asleep, or maybe changing our sleeping schedule to wake up in the morning so we don't have to use our flashlights at night, that kind of stuff. Now here in the bathrooms there isn't actually a lot, but we do pick up a bandage because our current supply is kind of low. Anyway, we might as well have a look at the rest of the building to see what we're dealing with here. There is a room here that has a couple boxes, but nothing too important besides the batteries, which I do pick up for nighttime. And on the other room we have what seems to be some sort of an office building, right? But unfortunately there's not much here, so what we're going to do is we're going to update our map by putting a little apple here. I don't actually want to take all this food with me right now, because we're actually trying to level up our mechanic skill, right? Like I said, the objective of today's video is to level up our mechanic skill. We might come back here on the way back home, but for now we're just gonna leave that there. Now there does seem to be a restaurant at the back of the bar, which we might have to hit up sometime in the future. So it's nice to know that's there. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move to the building just across the front of the bar here as soon as we're done opening all these doors, just in case we ever have to run in through the front door real quick. And from the looks of it, it seems to be some sort of a garage, because buildings don't usually have these double-sided doors. It leads me to believe that it is a garage. There's also a couple cars here, which is nice. We'll be tinkering with those here soon. What I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to find a quick way to get inside the building without making too much noise, because, you know, noise is bad and we don't want that. Luckily, the front door is open, so we quickly head inside. We're gonna have a look through all of this stuff here, but it doesn't seem like there's much. We do find a medical magazine, but we already know that recipe, so we just ignore it. We're gonna head into the garage, see what we have in here. There's a bathroom here, it's empty. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna actually check the garage, but it seems like it's completely empty. There's not a lot of stuff here. There are a couple car parts, but that really seems to be it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and head out to the parking lot in front of it. We're gonna go ahead and do some tinkering with these cars and hopefully get another level. This car actually had a key in it and it has a working battery, which is actually really useful. But we're gonna ignore that and just kind of loot the interior. We're gonna make a bobby pin out of the paperclip that we found, and we're gonna go ahead and do some maintenance in here. And once we're done with this car, we're gonna go ahead and move over to the white car, as well as that big truck over there. We're gonna do this exact same thing. Unfortunately, we can't remove the tires or the chairs yet because we're still missing some tools. And here I try my first luck at lockpicking the car, but unfortunately it breaks the lock, which is something we talked about earlier in the video. And because we broke the lock to that front door, we can't actually open the door anymore, as you can see. Which is kind of a problem, but only if we were really gonna use this car for driving around. So anyway, we're gonna get back to doing some maintenance, leveling up our skill, and after this we're gonna go back to the truck just next to it. I've actually never seen a truck like this before. It's the first time I've seen one like it, and it seems to be pretty useful. There's a lot of inventory in the back, but it doesn't seem to actually be working right now. It does seem to be in somewhat good condition. We might one day come back for it, but for now let's just focus on the objective of leveling up our skills. And now that we're actually, you know, done, we're gonna go ahead and mark this place as looted because there's basically nothing here that's useful for us. And what we're gonna do next, we're gonna go down to the abandoned houses from last episode, but we're gonna go a little bit farther than before. So I'm gonna transition over there and I will see you guys very shortly. So here we are, we're just now arriving at the houses that we looted on episode 3 of our series. And some zombies seem to have retaken the area because of the helicopter event that happened at the beginning of this episode. So right now we're just going to kind of focus on securing the area. We're going to kill any potential zombies that we encounter here. And I actually remembered that on the last episode, we actually ended up leaving a backpack in this house just below the middle of the screen here, the second house on the row. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take that backpack. And you might have noticed that we're actually getting tired. So what we're also going to do is we're going to go ahead and get some sleep here. Now it will be nighttime once we wake up, but that's okay because we carry a flashlight with us. And the reason we got the backpack is so that we can pick up the food from the bar on the way back home later. So we just woke up and it's actually nighttime right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and clear the area around the house. I do believe there were some zombies that we left unattended when we went to sleep. And once that's done, we're going to go ahead and do some looting around the area. Now just an FYI, between episode 3 and 4, there was a couple stuff that happened that isn't in the video, such as I came over here to this house, it's just up to the top left, and we ended up looting it, right? And the reason I didn't put it in the video is because there simply wasn't anything important that we found there at all. There's just a bunch of zombie killing, so I left that out. But something that interesting that did happen was that while we were here, we heard some gunshots in the house just down the road to the left. And that's why you might have noticed that there's a marking on the map called Dead People, because there used to be a survivor there shooting a gun. And that's why this area has been refilled with zombies, because all the gun shooting that he was doing earlier brought a whole bunch of zombies over here, even though we cleared out that house. And I don't know if you noticed, but that zombie that we just looted that had the shovel is actually the survivor that was shooting the gun. That's why he had a weapon and 3 cans of food in his inventory, which does actually help us quite a bit because I don't think I brought any food on me, except maybe the chips that we found at the bar earlier. And we're just going to kind of continue killing the zombies in this area while it's still dark before we get to do any looting, because at the end of the day, this is an area that we will be looting quite a lot. Still, there's a lot of houses along this road here. And if we kill the zombies now, hopefully the next time we come back, it'll still be empty. That's at least what I'm hoping for. Anyways, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and kill these last couple of zombies here on the road. And then we're going to go ahead and move up this road just a little bit because I remember that there's actually a crashed car on this road. And I don't remember what was inside of it. I don't think I actually looted it the last time I was here when I heard those gunshots from the NPC on the house just to the left of this road here, behind that fence. I'm also going to go ahead and avoid that horde of zombies down there. It's not too big, but there's no point in us fighting it just yet. So let's go ahead and finish off this zombie. And we're going to head up to the car that's just up here on the road. And hopefully we'll find a lug wrench or a car jack. I'm not sure if we even have those yet. Unfortunately, we don't find it, but we do find a first aid kit, which I'm going to go ahead and drop it on the floor. We're just going to take what we need, which is a suture needle, since we don't actually own a needle or thread yet to replace the suture needles that we have. We're also going to go ahead and take the battery and the beta blockers and the lollipop that are in the front seat. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go down that road just a little bit further. I did say we weren't going to fight that horde, but now that I know that road is safe, there's basically no zombies behind us. So it's safe for us to push forward. So we're going to go ahead and push towards the enemies. We will be using the knife here because it's nighttime. If we use the baseball bat with one hand only, it wouldn't be very effective. We're going to go ahead and kill the straggler here really quickly before the other one catches up to us. And then we're going to go back and finish off the horde. Now, unfortunately, these zombies don't actually have anything that we need. We do check their inventories, but alas, we don't find anything. So we're going to go ahead and move down here. There's a couple zombies. It seems to be about 5 or 6, which we're going to go ahead and take down. And what we're going to be doing afterwards is we're going to be going into the mansion where the gunshots were coming from. Now, we did already find the person who was shooting. We found him a little bit earlier. If you remember, he was the guy that had the shovel in his inventory. Zombies don't usually carry weapons on them, such as shovels. So that was definitely an NPC. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looting the building just here inside these walls. You can actually see the gun that he was shooting earlier right here in the courtyard. Once we go a little bit further, there it is right there in that little pile of blood. That's where the zombies were eating him, where he died, unfortunately. Now, as I said earlier, this all happened between episode 3 and 4. And I did try my best to save this guy, but the gunshots were just drawing in so many zombies that there was nothing that I could really do. I couldn't kill them fast enough to get to this guy because they were coming from all sides. And I was trying to kill them. And he actually stayed alive for quite a while. I think it was at least a couple, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes fighting the zombies. But alas, his gun just wasn't enough to kill them. Now, if this house is anything like the other one just up the road, we're in for quite a treat here because the last house, the one that I looted between episode 3 and 4, had a lot of bookcases inside of them, which is actually a couple of the books that we found and we had back at the base were from that little run that we had. It wasn't a lot, but it was still kind of slightly worth it. We still need to find the electrical book for level 1 and 2 so that we can learn how to hotwire cars. And something that I should have been doing by now, but I haven't, is I should at least maybe be collecting the watches from these zombies because someday soon these zombie bodies will start decomposing. And when that happens, all of their loot starts to disappear, including their watches, backpacks, and anything that's on their bodies. Which means if we're not fast enough to find that book, read it, and begin gathering the watches from their bodies, we're going to have all of that potential experience just disappear into nothingness. Now, granted, there are other ways to level up our electrical skill, such as, dismantling televisions. We could remove the radio from every car that we see and dismantle it, but in doing so, we would lose the mechanical XP for putting it in the car. We could also dismantle lamps, bedside lamps, lamps on walls, and all those other things. They all give experience. They actually give more experience than the watches, but the thing is that the watches are just a more constant source of experience for the electrical skill. That's what I'm hoping to be able to feed off of here in the near future. Now, as you can see, this house is still crawling with zombies from when that NPC was shooting his, what looks like a rifle. Now, because he spawned with that rifle, it's probably going to be a vanilla rifle, so it's probably the MSR rifle, but I'm not exactly sure which caliber. And although we did loot the body of the survivor and picked up the ammo, I don't actually remember what kind it was. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I won't be picking up the rifle because it doesn't actually work with Britta's weapon pack are all the attachments and everything associated to that. So we're just gonna leave it there. But one interesting that I found out from playing the game and testing out the mods is that those type of vanilla guns are the only ones that actually work with NPCs, and the Brita's weapon pack doesn't seem to work with them. I've tried testing it, and I just can't seem to get the two to work together just yet. I might be getting something wrong. In the future, if we do end up recruiting someone, we might actually come back here and pick that rifle up. But for now, we're just going to leave it. What we are actually going to do now, though, is instead of going further into the house, because it's nighttime, and it will, even with the flashlight, it would still be a little bit difficult to get in the house and, be able to see stuff. I decided to actually pull back and loot this fourth house, which we haven't looted yet out of the row of houses here. And we got pretty lucky. We found a herbalist magazine in the bookcase right at the beginning. There's a couple of cigarette packs, but we don't need those. And it also seems to be a party house, which means there's lots of chips and pop cans on the floor for us to take for later. We also get pretty lucky in the kitchen. We find a little bit of food, some chocolate and a candy cane, as well as a little bit of wine, as well as a couple cans of food in the other drawer. That should be enough to pay off for the day of looting that we've had today, or a couple of days, I could say. Now, I would actually be putting this stuff in the backpack, but because it's still nighttime, we're gonna keep using the flashlight for now. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna head upstairs. We're gonna clear out the building so we can get some sleep. But before that, we get pretty lucky. We found a flashlight, which we dismantle for another battery for later. And so far, it seems to be pretty clear. I accidentally jumped off the edge there by pressing E. What I meant to do is actually close the door. But anyways, let's go ahead and check out this last room. It seems pretty empty. There's a bookcase here, but it also seems empty since there's no books in it. There is a Long John's in there and a pair of gloves, which I do take because I don't notice that I already have one, thinking that I didn't. There's also an extra paper clip inside this little shelf here, which we're going to turn into another bobby pin so we can try leveling up our lockpicking skill in the future. Anyway, it is now morning of next day, and today we're going to go ahead and go back to the house where the NPC died in, and we're going to finish looting it. Hopefully some of the zombies in the inside of the building have spread out a little bit. We're also going to mark the house that we're in as looted since we finished looting it completely. I did leave the herbalist magazine back on the floor. That's because I already read it before leaving. And that magazine is going to help us in the future, if we make it that far, to be able to identify which berries are poisonous and not poisonous once we're done foraging in an area. Now, our current base is very far from the island, so technically I think we can forage near our base, but it is currently winter, and during the winter you can't actually gather any herbs or animals or any medicinal plants from nature. So at the moment the only thing we can forage is stone knives and stone axes and those sort of materials to craft those items. Now we're going to go ahead and clear out the rest of the house. There does seem to be a lot of zombies in there. And there's also a couple zombies coming up behind us as well from the street, which probably heard us fighting. Now, what I'm really hoping for in this house, as I said earlier, is a couple of books. More specifically, the electrical book, so that we'll have every item we need to learn how to hotwire cars and the boats so we can escape the island. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that we don't know how the situation is back on the mainland, so we're not going to leave just as soon as we can. We need to kind of gather up some supplies and prepare for the trip and to anything that we might have to encounter once we actually reach the mainland. And if we're really lucky, we'll find an NPC that has not yet died or been zombified, or shooting a gun in the middle of the day, tracking all the zombies to him. Because having an NPC would severely improve our chances of surviving. I wouldn't really be using them for combat. I think I would mostly be using them for base maintenance, because that's honestly what they strive at. And even though it doesn't seem like it, we are playing in a high populated world, so there is a lot of zombies, but because we're still kind of near the edge of the island, the population is still low. If we continue down that road from the house that we looted, we would eventually reach the most populated areas, which are on the bottom part of the island. Now obviously before we actually go there, I do need to prepare. I'm hoping that we can do a trip to the military armory sometime soon once we learn how to hotwire cars, because we're going to need to have lots of carrying capacity to bring all the guns and ammo and military gear that we find there back to the base so we can defend ourselves. And once we find all those guns, hopefully we'll be able to go slightly deeper into town. But that's just planning for the future. For now, let's take little baby steps and go ahead and secure the rest of this house here. We are still dealing with a lot of zombies. They're still pouring out. Luckily, the Rambo knife does a pretty good job at killing them. using the good old back away and stab strategy. There is unfortunately a couple more inside that walk out the door here, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing to them before we go into the building. But before going in, what we're actually going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a little perimeter check around the back to make sure that there's no hidden zombies or hidden hordes in the back of the house that might try to seep into the building as we're looting it. Lucky for us though, that doesn't seem to be the case. We also do a little peek in the windows whenever we can, and the interior seems to be mostly empty now. There's a zombie here that's just chilling next to the wall, and one police officer zombie, which might have some good gear for us if we get lucky. And it does seem like he has a pistol on his holster, which I think we're going to take. It's actually a 9mm, which is actually really good. Unfortunately, our backpack seems to be full, so we can't put it in there, so we're just going to equip it in our holster for now. We're also going to take his t-shirt because it's pristine, where ours is slightly damaged, so it's a nice little warmth upgrade for later. And now that we've kind of done a perimeter check, we're going to start heading into the building now. And we're just going to go in through the main door. Hopefully there's not too many zombies still in here. The bottom floor seemed pretty safe from the outside, but there's no way to guarantee the top floor is safe. Keep in mind that all these dead zombies were here before we came into the building, so I'm pretty sure that most of these are from the NPC that was living in this house before we came here. You know, the one that had the shovel, the same guy that was shooting that gun overnight. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to finish looting the bottom floor before we head upstairs. That way we know that there's no zombies here. There's actually a couple in this hallway, which I'm going to go ahead and take care of real quick. Now, if there are zombies upstairs, they will hear us fighting. And I hope that I can kill these guys quickly before they show up. And there was actually another zombie inside that room there. So now I got to worry about the ones upstairs, if they are there, plus these ones. So let's go ahead and clear these guys out real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and have a look at those final rooms that we haven't been into yet. Now, at this point, my backpack is already full because I couldn't put the pistol in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull out that extra backpack that we picked up earlier in that first house that we looted when we arrived at this location. As soon as we're done killing all the zombies that are seeping out of the house, and we get to the kitchen, which is this room right here, hopefully it's got a lot of food in it for us. Got to make the trip worthwhile, right? Besides all the booze that was in the bar, which we're going to take, there's actually even more booze in here, which we're going to put in the duffel bag that I just said we're going to equip, and we're going to start gathering all the stuff. Now, besides the pack of beer and the bourbon that we found, there is a little bit of food here. Seems to be some salt in there, as well as some pepper, which we're going to take since we don't really have the luxury of leaving behind anything. And what we're also going to do is we're going to move all the food that we found throughout this journey into the duffel bag as well, so we can carry more stuff. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and loot the last couple drawers here and the fridge, which does seem to have a can of oats in it, which is really good. That's about half a day to a day worth of food. And we do have one more zombie, it seems, so we're going to kill him and head on. This bathroom that we go into doesn't really have anything, so we just kind of leave it. Now, out of all the places that we've looted, this has got to be the treasure trove that we found so far. Look at all these bookcases. And here we find Alarm for Dummies, Lockpicking for Dummies, so many books, so many different magazines. We also find the Electrician Volume 1, which we were looking for. We're going to take that, and a couple of other assortments of stuff, which we're going to take, so like the magazine for metalworking, a couple extra books for whenever we get sad and unhappy. And there are actually still zombies upstairs as well, because you could hear the door breaking a little second ago. And I tried to sneak kill that zombie, but there was another one right there. So we need to kill these guys quickly before more of them show up, because we're kind of at the end of a hallway here, and I'm not sure what's in these rooms. So I don't want to open that while being chased. And what we're going to do here is actually we're going to rest up in this chair, because the zombies don't seem to know we're here yet. Even though we can see the zombie, because we are behind the chair, it's really hard for him to see us. But this other guy doesn't seem to care at all. He just walks straight up to the room and he sees us. And us fighting him draws the other one in, so we got to kill him as well. Hopefully that's the last of them, but no, there is another one in the hallway. But before we go kill him, we will finish resting up, so we can have a pretty easy fight against them. And it seems that only one zombie is left, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to stealth kill this guy. And we're going to check out these last three rooms. There's actually one more in the dining room. Not sure where he came from, because we did walk through here just before going into the bookcase room. And these other rooms seem to have not a lot of stuff, but this one has another magazine which we take, as well as an extra book, as well as an exit door in the back, and that really seems to be about it. And this, oh, there's another zombie here. Let's go ahead and kill him as well. And this last room just seems to be kind of like a recreation room. So now we've technically looted the entire bottom floor. We're going to go ahead and kill this zombie here, which is a sprinter. Kind of scary. I don't want to have to take with those guys. And there do seems to be still zombies up here, so we're gonna go ahead and clear these out before we do any sort of looting. And I think that was the last one, so we're gonna go ahead and check the room real quick, have a quick run through. There doesn't seem to be much besides clothing in this first bedroom. The second room, on the other hand, doesn't seem to have anything either as well. Oh, actually, it does have some bookcases. Let's go ahead and check those out, see what we get. There's not much that we don't already have, but there's a videotape which we take. I don't think we have a generator just yet, but if we do, we can get some free XP from watching those videotapes. This guest room, I would assume, does have a zombie, so we'll go ahead and just stealth kill him. Find a couple of clothing, but nothing too great, so we move on to the next one. A couple of bookcases here, nothing too great, so we just move on. And there's a little room here with some shotgun shells, which we are going to take, because I don't remember if you paid attention, but back at the bar, there was inside one of the containers, there was a shotgun, or a coach gun, I'm not sure what it was called. But it was a 12 gauge, so we actually kind of have a method already of leveling up or shooting. I'm not sure whether we're going to be doing that because we don't actually have a lot of ammo. But what we're going to be doing now is going to go ahead and swap out the dead people sign for a little X, meaning that we've looted this, and we're going to go ahead and head over to the bar to pick up the food that we left behind. So here we are, we're just now arriving at the bar, and we're going to take all the beer that is in here. Some of it's going to be for drinking, some of it is going to be for fighting. Probably going to make some Molotovs if we ever go to the military base here on the island. Lucky for us, there's lots of variations of booze and stuff, and there's actually the gun that I was talking about earlier. So we're going to go ahead and take that so we can level up our shooting down the road. There's also a couple more stuff here, as well as an extra baseball bat, which we will pick up since we're a little bit low on melee weapons. So many bourbons. We're going to have like so many Molotovs once we're done looting all of these. One thing that I am slightly worried about is the amount of weight we're carrying. We are extremely over our limit, which is going to drain our stamina extremely fast. We're actually already somewhat exerted. But lucky for us, I think we've cleared the way here so far. Every time I've come down the road from the home down to here, we've killed all the zombies, so it should be safe. I'm just kind of double checking, make sure we didn't leave anything behind. I do swap out my water bottles, and what we're going to do is we're going to swap out the little apple icon for an X, and we're going to start heading back home to drop off all of today's loot. Now, unfortunately, we didn't reach level 2 mechanic or level 1 electrical in today's video, but we found most of the things we need to be able to hotwire cars, and hopefully on the next video we're going to go ahead and do that. We found lots of magazines and books which are going to be helpful. We found plenty of food and drinks which we're going to go ahead and drop here in the fridge. Going to go ahead and sort that out real quick. We also managed to find a gun, which I hope we're going to be able to shoot a little bit. I think we have a couple shotgun shells here on the floor in the dining room since I don't really have a spot for it. Haven't really designated an area for gas cans, guns, or melee weapons just yet in the house. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and also make sure to check out my Twitch channel for daily content. I stream almost every day, and I'll see you next time.